Hi, everyone. This is Joe Kelly, your coach for today. It's noon. It's our second webinar. So welcome to this Magnetic Actor webinar. I'm very excited to have you here. We're going to do some amazing work today. So get ready for that. And as people are getting on the platform, I'm going to tell you a little bit about who I am. For those of you who don't know me already. So I have some slides to share with you. There we go. Okay. So technical problem number one. There we go. Okay. So I have been coaching actors in Europe and in the States. I'm in LA. I live in LA. I've been doing this for about 20 years now, and I coach A-level actors. I coach working actors. I coach beginning actors. And I used to act a long time ago, and now I'm a writer and I'm a director. So what I do specifically and what we'll be doing together during this session is that I consider acting as the art of being alive, okay? And life is not something that you teach. Life is not something that you can learn. You are alive. And so the type of coaching that I do is not coaching where I teach you something new that you can practice and then it works, because you are already alive. What I'm doing is some radical and transformational coaching. It's not traditional at all. And the way that I do that is that I help actors work through the tensions, the nerves, and the blocks so that they can access the instinct that you guys all have underneath the resistance, okay? And what do you get when you work through the resistance is you really access a place of being very authentic, very free, open, and I also dare say infinite, and you will experience why as we start doing the exercises together. The reason I do that is, to me, the state of being alive and open and free is beautiful. When you watch kids, it's beautiful. And I have a big passion for working on humans going back to that beauty. And what happens when the actors work, and sometimes singers too, work through the resistance and access the instinct, is that you start being impactful, and therefore you start booking the roles you really want. Okay, so why am I so confident about this, you may ask? It is because it's not another method, and I'm only betting on you being awesome as a human being. And when you clear the blocks that are in between you and that greatness, all you have left is ridiculous, ridiculous, ridiculous power. So the reason why this never fails and why I'm confident is because as human beings, you have that talent, whether you're in touch with it a little bit already or not at all. There is something in there that is so gigantic that you have, that's available if you can access it, that it can never fail. Okay, so we're going to talk about you mostly during this webinar, and I want you to realize that you're in the right place if you have, and you can share in the chat, if you have one of these things going on, like you've trained incessantly, you're an extremely trained actor, you've trained with the best, and yet when you need to rely on your instrument, you can't 100%. Or another scenario is that you're home and you're prepping and you're rehearsing and you feel great and strong and confident, and you walk in the audition room and the casting director says or does something, and suddenly you feel yourself being a very small version of who you were just a second before. You don't even know how it happened. Suddenly you have no more power. So you're in the right place. This is what we're going to talk about. You have some talent, you have some greatness inside. It's undeniable. And there is like this thick layer or thin layer of stuff that is in between. And, you know, sometimes I hear actors say, if only I could just work through that, I would really access what I know is great inside of me. And so that's the work that we're going to do together. Okay, so the way we'll work together is I'm going to ask you to turn off all your little robots, phones, and emails so that you can really be present, because you will have a tendency to want to get away from this because some of it will be uncomfortable. And that's fine, nothing wrong, but don't create some distractions because you'll want to go there. You can use the chat to ask some questions. I'll try to get to all of them. If I can't, then I will definitely get back to you by email, and I'll make sure to address every question that we have on the chat. And the third and most important thing is I really want you to do the exercises. So watching this and not doing it will not allow you to experiment the transformation that we're talking about. So roll up your sleeves and dive in. What we'll do in an hour and a half is I'll give you as much as I possibly can. And for those of you who want to go deeper, there is a full program that's available and that we'll talk about later during this webinar. So what we're going to start with is we're going to start with working on your resistance. Then we're going to touch on your uniqueness. And then I'm going to talk to you about the program for those who resonate with this type of work. And then we're going to look at what people are mostly excited by is connecting with your instinct, igniting your instinct, and muscling it up. Okay? All right. So let me stop sharing my screen. And there we go. We're back. Okay. So let's start working. And we're going to start working on the resistance, as I said. Hi, Pablo. So I'm going to unmute you. And hi, Diane. Diane, I can't see you. For the moment, I see your hair. Can you see me? Oh, there you go. If you lower it, there you go. Now I can see you. All right, so let's start with you guys to do some work, okay? Let's start working on resistance, and we'll go into what resistance is after the exercise, but I would really like for you to experiment first, okay? So, Pablo, if we start with you, if you were to assess your presence right now, how would you say that you would assess it? Are you feeling totally present? Are you feeling nervous? How are you feeling?
A bit anxious. That's how I feel. Yeah.
Okay, so if you would rate your presence, let's say that
7 out of 10.
On 10? Okay. How about you, Diane?
I'm just very, very receptive. I'm relaxed here, just waiting, anticipating what's coming up. So I would say about a 7 or 8.
Okay. And if I was to ask you guys to not be in the receptive mode, but we're gonna start acting and playing together, what is your presence like now?
9.
Okay. How about you, Diane?
Oh, mine dropped a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
It's just like, okay, now what? I'm a little not sure what's coming up and a little anxious about what's coming up.
Okay. All right. All good. All of it is good. Okay. So I'm going to propose the exercise. Let's close your eyes, and I will start doing a cycle with Pablo, and then I'll come to you, Diane. Does that work?
All right. Mm-hmm. Sure.
All right. So you do the exercise too, Diane. Everyone who's watching this, whether you're in the live or you're watching this as a replay, do the work. Again, you will not experience anything if you just watch this. It'll be a total waste of your time. So let's close your eyes, find a place, like a comfortable place where you can lay down or sit back, and take a couple deep breaths. From your belly, 1 or 2 more. All right, Pablo. Now you're going to scan your instrument from head to toes. And I'm going to ask you to tell me what's the most present sensation that you have.
Tension here, my neck.
Okay, so stay with that sensation, and I'm going to ask you to give it a name.
You want me to tell you the name now? Or?
Yeah.
Rock.
Okay. And what's the intensity on 10?
Like an 8.
Okay. The color?
It's like dark gray.
Okay. The shape?
Like a blob. I don't know. It's just like a cloud.
Okay. And the material?
It's like slime, like a little thick slime.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. All right. And how old were you the first time you felt this sensation? Everyone keeps their eyes closed and do the exercise at the same time. If not, it's not going to do anything.
How old I have? Oh.
Stay with the sensation and don't even try to remember anything.
All right.
Go in that throat, in the rocky sensation. It's 8. It's gray, like a cloud. It's slimy. Stay with that. And just stay with it and trust that the answer will come. How old were you the first time you felt this sensation? And trust the first image that comes to you.
Well, it was 15 years ago.
Okay, what's happening?
I'm sitting, meditating in India.
You're in India, okay.
I'm the first time in my life aware of every part of my body.
Okay, and where are you, Pablo? What is happening?
Surrounded by other meditators.
Okay.
I'm about to move to a new country.
Okay, but tell me what's happening in that room or where you are right there. What's actually happening? Who's there? What is happening? How are you feeling?
Feeling tired.
Say that again?
I'm feeling tired because I will wake up at 4 in the morning.
Okay,
All
you're
day.
waking up.
I'm at the back of the class.
Okay.
and it's a silence retreat, so there's silence.
Okay. And how are you feeling? You're tired, you're at the back of the class.
And really tense. It's really hard. It's really the lotus position, well, pseudo lotus position is hard to keep it.
Okay, it's physically hard.
Physically hard, there you go.
Okay. All right, so what did you want to do or say in that moment that you didn't do or say? In that moment, without thinking from now.
Is it over yet?
Say that again?
Is it over yet?
Okay, you wanted to ask, is it over yet? So you're going to take a deep breath, you're going to block it, and you're going to ask the master in the room, or I don't know who is taking charge, is it over yet? And loop that. Ask as many times as you possibly can hold your breath. Everyone does the same thing. Take a deep breath in, block it, and loop what you wanted to do or say.
Out loud? Is it over yet?
No, inside of your head. So take the deep breath in, block it, and see yourself asking over and over again. And allow anything to happen in that room. Maybe you get up, maybe you hit someone. It has no importance. Just allow it. And tell me when you're breathing again.
No.
Okay. All right. Now check back on that sensation in your throat.
Yes, it went down to 5.
Okay. All right. Okay, now I'm going to do a cycle with Diane. And again, anyone who's on this webinar, do the same. And if you're watching the replay, do the same. Pablo, do another round too. Now let's bring up an acting situation. You're in a casting room, in an audition room, and the competition is there, and you're sitting and you're hearing the other actors do their audition, and you're waiting, and you're rehearsing your text, and you're still there waiting for your turn. Maybe those are better than you. Maybe they're more known actors. Maybe they'll get the job. Maybe you're wasting your time. Maybe you're not good enough. All of those thoughts. Maybe you're not ready. Maybe you didn't get the lines in time. All right, and from that place, Diane, let's look at what's the most present sensation now in these circumstances that we've just imagined that's in your body. Physical sensation.
Well, I'm just very aware of my body from top to bottom, from head to toes.
We're still going to look for something more specific. So what's the most present sensation that you have? It can be heat, cold, it can be pain, it can be some heaviness, anything, a tingling.
kind of a tingling in my chest and torso area.
Okay.
I have a tightness there.
Okay. So can you give it a name?
I'll call it Electra.
Electra. Okay. What's the intensity?
Out of 5.
What's the color?
Smoky blue-gray.
Okay. The shape?
of a round, fluffy ball.
All right.
No distinct sides, just
Okay. And the material?
smoke and air.
All right. Okay. How old were you the first time you felt that sensation?
Very young, I'm sure. Probably infancy.
And how old is that?
Infancy, very young.
So how old would that be?
About 6 months.
Okay. All right. And what's happening?
People are picking me up and handing me around and handling me, and I don't know what's going on.
Okay. And how are you feeling in that moment?
Very unsettled, or like not very secure, insecure, I would say, because I don't know what these people are doing. They're picking me
Okay.
up and handling me, and I don't have any control of what they're doing to my body.
So are you afraid?
A little bit curiosity and very apprehensive, pretty insecure, yes.
Okay. All right. And so what did you want to do or say in that moment? And of course, if you were 6 months old, you didn't have any words, but you might have been wanting to make some sounds or yell some sounds or do something. So thinking not from Diane now, but thinking from Diane 6 months old. Be in that world. Be in that little body. You're moved around, taken from one person to the next. There's fear. You're insecure. What's going to happen? You have no control. What do you want to do or say in that moment that you didn't do or say?
Knock it off. Stop it. Put me down. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know these people.
Okay. So the words would not have been those, of course, right? Because you were six months old. So when you're going to take that deep breath and block it, just be that little blob, 6 months old, and just yell those things, yell those sounds and that intention over and over again for as long as you possibly can hold your breath. Okay? Let's hold your breath. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it. All right. Okay, and now check back with your instrument and your chest. How's it feeling now?
A lot more relaxed, a little bit more powerful, I would say.
Okay, it was at a 5. What is it at now?
At a 2.
At a 2. Okay. All right, we're going to do one more round. Okay, with both of you. So let's scan your instrument again. Keep your eyes closed so your attention is really within. And scan your instrument. Pablo, what is the most present sensation? Let's be in the audition room again. We're on a set with high pressure. Let's bring up those circumstances.
All right, well,
Let's even, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Let's even imagine that the casting director is really not liking what you're doing. And she's telling you, no, you don't get it. Just try to be, you're doing too much. You're acting too much. Just be you. All right. And now tell me, where is that in your instrument? And again, everyone does the same exercise. Where is that?
Here, this area here.
It's there. Okay, how, and find it a name. Same for you, Diane. Where is it?
In my throat.
Throat. Both of you, the throat. Okay, let's both give it a name. Tell me the name you have.
Trick.
Okay, Diane.
That's always a sound screamer.
Okay, intensity.
9.
About a 9 is way up there.
Shape.
Like a cube.
Diane.
Looks like a ball with like a porcupine, prickly edges, very sharp prickly edges.
Okay, color.
Dark
Red
blue.
hot.
Okay. All right, material.
Fire.
Like a rubbery, a thick rubber.
Okay, and then we're going to start with Diane. Diane, how old were you the first time you felt this sensation? Stay with the sensation.
2 or 3.
Okay, what's happening?
I'm getting screamed at and yelled at by my dad, and I'm not allowed to defend myself or say. I'm getting accused of something I'm not allowed to defend myself or say.
Okay,
What's going on?
stay with that for a little bit. Pablo, what's happening to you? How old are you?
Suddenly went down to 8. I'm having a nightmare.
Nightmare?
Recurrent nightmare.
Okay, and then are you calling someone? What's the situation?
Like it's weird. Like a ball that comes towards me, getting bigger and bigger.
And how are you feeling?
How you say, impotent. I mean,
Okay. Powerless.
powerless. That's the word.
Okay, so both of you, what did you want to do or say in that moment that you didn't do or say? Diane?
You just shut up and listen to what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, take a deep breath in and say it in as many possible ways as you can. And hold your breath for as long as you can. Same for Pablo. What do you want to do or say?
I just want to say stop.
You want to say stop. Okay, take a deep breath in and go there for as many times as you guys can. All right, Diane, how is the throat feeling now?
Very cool.
Okay.
Very calm. Yeah, as color has changed to blue.
Uh-huh. And it was at a 9?
Mm-hmm.
How much is it at now?
About a 6.
Okay. All right, let's see. Pablo, tell me when you're breathing.
Yeah, I am.
Okay.
It's funny what happened was like when I found the word stop, I visualized immediately the pressure went down to like a 3. When I started repeating the word stop, it went up. And then when I just let go of my breath, it went down to a 3.
Okay. All right. So now I want you to assess again your level of presence.
9.
Compared to the beginning.
9.8.
9.8. Okay. Practically fully present. How about you, Diane?
About a 9.
About a 9 too. All right. So if you can compare without the numbers, how present you were before the exercise and how present you are now, how would you describe it?
I feel like I feel more present without a lot of distractions or any
Okay.
emotional distractions there. It's just all me.
Yeah, you're in your world right now. It's more you. Okay, how about you, Pablo?
I'm completely focused.
Completely focused. Okay. Can you guys imagine for a second what it would be like if you could have access to this presence at all times? That you would start working on your character from this presence? If you would let yourself bathe into the text with this presence, if you would walk into the audition room with this presence, if you would be on set with this presence. We only did 3 rounds, right?
Yeah.
So I just want you to also be present to, we didn't do anything. This took us, 10 minutes of work, right? But I just want you to imagine what it would be like for you to be able to actually have this for an engine instead of the other stuff where we start, having the throat stuck and all of these things. To actually have that presence. And again, you just took a teaspoon of the presence that's available. Okay. Do you want to say something about that? If you had that available at all times, how would you go about the work you do? How would that impact you?
Well, I already feel, even though you had the thing about confidence, but I would feel, I would step on stage or just secure of my, I will value my talent. There you go.
Okay, great. How about you, Diane?
Be able to just get down to business of doing the work I was trying to get a job to do instead of all these distractions have to worry about.
Perfect.
Trying to feel angry and ignore that or get, push it down or whatever. Just be able to just get to it.
Exactly. Which is your job. All the other stuff has nothing to do with your job. Your job is to be there, to be alive, to bring all of that humanity for the character, not to start thinking about how can you please them, how can you look good, how can I stay safe here. All of that is not part of the work. Okay, so let's do a little chat about why we feel those things. Why are we super trained and we enter the audition room, or we're on set and the director or the partner that we're playing with says one thing that is not part of what we were expecting and it throws us completely off. So I want to talk about 3 things. Do you guys have kids?
No, I don't.
No. You guys see kids, right? Around. Oh, yeah. You're in presence of kids somewhere in a distance or not, but you've been kids yourself. And you know the legend, we say no kids on a stage, because the minute you put a child on a stage, they're so full of life that no one will look at the actors, will only look at the child, okay? So if you observe a kid, and this is how you were before, for a little bit, a child feels what they feel. They don't censor what they feel. So they can't have the milk, they'll go into a fit and rage and be loud, and their little body will get all tense. And then you give them the milk or the chocolate or whatever it is that they're looking for. And the second after, they want to love you and giggle and smile. And then you take away the milk and they are going to start stomping the floor. So the emotions come, they live them, they go. And then the next emotion comes in, they live them, they go, right? It's fluid. It's completely unconstrained, completely free. Do we agree? Right.
Yeah.
Then what happens as you're a child or an infant, you have a relationship with your parent, and then you have a relationship with your education and the society. And let's touch on those 3 points. So what happens from the first youngest age when you're a child is that your parents will train you to not feel, right? So to a little baby who's crying, usually the instinctive thing to say is to say, don't cry, everything's okay. That's in the adult's perspective. The child is crying, something's up, they're not okay, and they're just living that emotion. There's nothing wrong or right about it. They're just feeling that, and they're living it, and the adult will say, don't cry. When a child gets angry, the parent will say, don't yell. When a child gets too happy and gets loud, usually the parents will ask to turn it down. So everything a child feels or wants to experiment when they're little is censored. It has to be like we say, not like you experience. It has to be like your parents say, and that's how you get the love. If you don't do what your parents say, the problem is you depend on them, you depend on that love and on what they provide for you to survive. So there's not even any thinking. It goes very fast. Oh, if I cry, she's not happy, I don't get my love or my milk or my protection. Okay, I'm not going to cry. So you're wired to please. There's not even the thinking or the emotion anymore. You just do to get the result you need. Take the same situation at school. From now, unfortunately, 4 years old until whenever, as soon as you enter the class, you sit down, you're quiet, you pee when you're told, you eat when you're told, you take a break when you're told, you do not give your opinion unless we're asking you to, and you listen to a bigger person who knows better than you. And when you're an adult, you can decide for yourself. But for now, everything that you're doing is being completely controlled. What happens if you don't drink that Kool-Aid? You're not validated. You don't have the grades. You don't have the friends. You're being shamed as a person. And therefore, it's difficult to become yourself because they are telling you, the ones who know, not good, bad. So with those distinctions, the problem is you're forced to accept it and again to go into people pleasing. And then comes the social world, which is the exact same thing. I'm just going to give you an example. My daughter has a condition, and every month we go to the hospital and she gets blood transfusions. And she's 2 years old and she's had that since she was born. Yesterday we're at the hospital and the IV nurse is sticking the needle in her arm. Have you guys oh, I'm getting stuck. Have you guys had, I can't say it, an IV stuck in your arm already? Yes, right? It's painful. We don't like it. It's not terrible, but for a child, it's a big deal. It's a big needle. It's thick, etc. So she knows what's happening. She's been having it since she was born, right? When the IV nurse is approaching, she starts crying because she's afraid, because that is what she's feeling, and therefore she's allowing herself to feel it. And the IV nurse, who does this day and night, and it's his profession, and he knows her, and he likes her, there's nothing wrong, was telling her, don't cry. Why are you crying now? I'm not poking you. Stop crying. There's no reason to cry. So there's that reinforcement of society that is telling you constantly, do not be who you are. Do not be who you are. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. So inevitably, you start taking that wiring because it gives you what you need. It gives you your parents' love. It gives you the validation, and you fit in society. It works better that way. So you're smart and you do it. All right? Only problem is that when you get that wiring, you're not being yourself anymore. And you are judging everything you're feeling. You're making yourself wrong for everything you're feeling. And so you're robbing yourself away from your actual life experience because you're busy trying to fit this whole thing. Does that make sense? So that is what resistance is. And that, as actors, that is what you're moving around with. That is actually, your engine is resistance. Because that's how you were raised. No one escaped it. I didn't escape it. That's how we're raised. So there's nothing, I'm not trying to accuse our parents or the world, or I'm not trying to make it like very dramatic. That's just what it is. So as actors, now that you know that you couldn't escape this wiring and that your instrument is running on resistance, there is a way for you to go into the resistance, go into those emotions so that you access yourself. That's what we just did in this exercise. I didn't say, let's bring up the stress of the audition and let's try to move that emotion away. No, I said the opposite. I said, let's go into it. Let's listen to it. What shape is it? Let's be with it. What color? What name? What intensity? So that you stayed with it. And what happens when you stay with it? It melts because you're feeling what you're feeling. And therefore, as a child, you're going back to, if this is your instrument, an impulse comes, an emotion comes, and then you live it and it goes away, and another one comes, and another one comes, and another one comes. What happens when you try to close your instrument because you're feeling, let's say you're at the casting, right? This is your instrument. Stress comes in. Casting director said something, and I shouldn't feel this. You push this down because you don't want to feel this. You just close your instrument. You don't have access to all the rest that's here. So working on your resistance, working through your resistance is starting to reverse the wiring and to start being with what you feel so that you can access who you actually are. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah? Diane, you're good?
No.
No. All right. Tell me.
All right. When I hear you talk, I'm getting that confused with my training in. I'm trained in Meisner, and I'm actually working on some other techniques or other methods now, and I'm getting that all confused with when you are in the scene and as an actor and accessing things as your character.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting the two things confused. Like,
so you're getting confused accessing your instrument as a character and
what we just went through, like when you are in a stressful situation, and the exercises that we just went through.
They're the same thing. So what I'm saying is when you start working on your resistance, you start knowing that those emotions, stress, etc., are not a reason to get out, are not a reason to push back. They too can be your character.
Okay.
Yeah. If you can start being okay with them, which you can't because your wiring told you all of those negative feelings, no, it's wrong and it's bad. What we're doing is we're reversing this and we're saying, feel it, feel it. There's nothing wrong with anything you could possibly feel. Anything, nothing wrong. It's just a feeling. It's a sensation. When you attach all the meaning to it, which is wrong and it's bad, then it starts being a block. If you just can manage to be with the sensation, then you are connected to your instrument. You have an open instrument available. You're not afraid of what you're feeling. And therefore, that is what you have available for the character. And it's not something external. I always say that I don't teach, I don't have any method or techniques because there's something so much more powerful than a method. You're a human being. There's all that life inside of you. If acting is the art of being alive, if you can actually be fully alive, if you can reestablish that as a child, if you can actually be fully yourself.
Okay.
You act. You're the character. You have all of that available. Like a child. A child doesn't take a technique, a method, or a workshop. They act because they're here and they just, they dive in and they don't leave anything behind for people pleasing. They just take it all with them and they play. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It
All right.
does.
So let's do the second exercise. Now that we've looked at the resistance, under that is your uniqueness that I say, right or wrong, you don't have access to. So let's start. If I would say, let's play a game. Diane, tell me what's great about you. Tell me about your essences and your uniqueness as an actress or as a human being even.
I have tremendous tenacity,
Okay.
or you could say stubbornness, whatever. I figure out ways to get things done that I need to get done.
Okay. What
Um,
else?
I'm very creative. I do a lot in the creative arts. I paint, I write, I play musical instruments and sing. I do all that. So that's one part that I really enjoy, all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think, let me see. I am very odd in a lot of ways compared to a lot of people around me. I kind of don't step to the what other people around me do. I don't have children. I don't fit into that kind of
Okay.
lifestyle, but I seem to think of things that is very different from the way other people think.
Okay. All right. Pablo, what's your uniqueness?
I am, how do you say in English? I mean, I'm a citizen of the world, so I could just become a citizen in any country. I adapt to any new situation, new cultures, new
Okay.
societies. That would be, since I was 11, I've been moving around. So, therefore, I mean, I'm funny, creative, likable. I'm a great friend.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Now let's do an exercise. Let's close your eyes again. I'm going to guide you through some circumstances and let's just play with me. And then, oh, sorry, my bad. Before we do that, do you both have a pen and a paper? And anyone who's listening to this or who's on the live webinar, take a pen and paper. Yeah, because as soon as we're done, you'll need it. And I want you to be able to access it straight away.
Okay, be right back.
All right, and I'm going to bring up Yolanda, my assistant. I was so focused on you guys, I forgot to bring her up. So you guys see her. There's Yolanda. Yolanda, I keep forgetting to bring you up.
I'm going to set up now so I can stay awake.
Okay, all right. Okay, so close your eyes and...
Okay, I'm all set.
Okay, perfect. Close your eyes, lean back, or lay down, whichever way you want. Let's take a couple deep breaths. A couple more. All right, and you're driving your car, even if you don't have a car, or let's just imagine you're driving your car. Maybe you can't even drive, but that's okay. Let's just imagine that you're driving and you're in the countryside and it's just a beautiful landscape around you. The colors are beautiful. Your window's open and you can smell the freshness of the countryside. Is your favorite music on the radio? You're really, really enjoying this drive. It's just a beautiful, beautiful day. And you press on the gas and you feel your car accelerating. everything is perfect. All your senses are open. What you see is beautiful. What you hear is beautiful. What you smell is amazing. You feel the breeze on your skin. Just a perfect day. And you're actually driving to a funeral. So as you are approaching the place where the funeral is happening, you pull in with your car to the parking lot and you park your car. You don't know whose funeral it is yet. So you get out of the car and you start walking towards the building, make that whatever you need it to be, a church, a synagogue, whatever. And you realize you know everyone who's there. Your family, your friends are there. But people don't see you. You see them, though. So as you walk through them little by little, you start realizing that this is your own funeral. And your soul just wanted to hang out for a little more. And just, stick around and see what's happening. But you're dead. So you enter the building and you go sit in the front row. And your body's right there in front of you in the little coffin. And little by little, the people are starting to enter in the room. You can feel their grief. You can hear their words. And so the way the ceremony is going to happen is that your relatives will say a few words about you. Okay, so your mom is going to start, and she walks over to the little stage, takes the microphone, and if your mom is not part of this world anymore, let's just still listen to her soul and to what she has to say about who you were. Not about her grief, but about who you were, about your qualities. So you guys listen to her as she speaks those words. And she finishes, and your dad now comes up on the little stage. Keep your eyes closed. Let's listen to what he has to say. About who you were. And he finishes. If you have any siblings, one or all of them, let them come up on the little stage and let's listen to what they have to say. And they finish. And now let's listen to your partner. So maybe you have a partner right now. Maybe you don't. You can think about your ex-partner. You can think about an ideal partner. All of that works. And let's have your partner say a few words about you.
and your partner finishes. Now let's listen to your grandparents. Maybe all of them come, maybe one of them comes. Just let your instinct decide which one of them speaks, or maybe all of them do.
Okay, and they finish. Now your best friend, maybe you have many, so maybe all of them talk at the same time. Maybe only one. Just allow the first image to be what's going to happen. All right, and they finish. And then as your favorite director in the room, let's imagine you've worked with her or with him as a lead role in their last movie, and they want to say a few words about who you were as an actor or as an actress. Okay. And when you think that everyone important spoke, some person stands up in the room and you don't know them, you've never seen them. And they say that they're a fan of your work. And since you started acting until now, they've always seen the work that you've done and you've really impacted their life. And they want to say a few words about how you impacted their life. So let's listen to that. All right, and they finish. And now you can take the pen and the paper and you can write everything that they said about you. We don't need to have full sentences. We don't need to know who said what. We just need you to write the qualities and the essences that they mentioned about you. All right. And when you're done, let me know what you have. Are you good, Diane?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what you're going to do now is you're going to start reducing the essences in topics. Meaning if you have kind, caring, and loving, they're saying the same thing about you, right? They're talking about the same essence. So choose the word that is the most powerful for you, the most inspiring, the most impactful, and leave the other ones behind. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's do that and try to get to 3 essences.
Want me to go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Very unpredictable, not knowing not knowing what I was going to do next.
Unpredictable. Yeah.
Unpredictable, not be able to figure out what I was going to do next. What you're talking about, girl? Makes some sense. I don't understand what you're saying. Okay. Truthful, speaking, telling it like I see it.
Mm-hmm. Authentic.
Okay, there you go. That's good. I love that word. Okay, doing quality work, doing work that is good and willing to do the work that it takes to get good at something.
Integrity.
Okay.
Is that the word?
Well, you're better at this than I am. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of in the acting thing, I don't want to take a lot of time in the acting thing. Like if a fan of mine were speaking to me, I would want it to be the way I felt about Philip Seymour Hoffman. Everything I saw him in was quality and good. No matter what the character was, he just took you there. And
yeah, because he was bringing integrity to anyone that he was embodying. Yeah.
Right. So that would be that kind of essence of that was what I would want to hear.
Okay, let's stay with that for a second because you said something that I need to go back to. You said what I would want to hear. So we need to go back to that. But I have noticed in the chat that Pablo needs to leave. So I want to quickly switch to him to finish this one. And then you can watch the rest of it in the replay, Pablo. So what are the essences that you're
okay. So I grouped them in like, I have a sensible is sensitive, huh? Or sensible. Is it sensitive?
I never knew. So, but I know what you're talking about. Sensible in Spanish. Yeah.
Courageous, authentic, insecure.
Courageous, authentic, insecure. So does insecure go with sensible?
No. Sensible goes into being able to feel, not sensible of like, but sensible.
No, yeah. Like you're. So I think it's sensitive. Is that the word, Diane, for someone who feels? Is it sensitive or sensible? Sensitive.
Sensitive,
right?
yes.
Sensitive. So sensitive. But don't you think you need to allow a level of no confidence and insecurity, not in a bad way, but like vulnerability? That's the word I'm looking for. In order for you to be sensitive?
Yeah, but I mean, definitely. The thing is, like, I came to insecurities when it's someone telling me, saying like, that I didn't value myself, my potential and my capacity that I never knew how much I had. That's
in your hands. Yeah, I see what you mean.
That's why I put insecurity. So I don't know.
But that wouldn't be an essence. That's their opinion. So that's not at the core of your being. That's their opinion of what you did with what you had.
Okay.
right? So it's not describing your qualities. That's an opinion of what you had and what you did with it. So I think that one, not that I want to stay with positive things. I just want to reduce it to something that's tangible for you. Okay?
Right.
So now let me look at, so do you see the difference? Do you see what we did here? We got rid of your ego, right? Because we killed you. And we asked your relatives, the people who know you best, to talk about what you brought to the table, right?
Yeah.
And so the essences that are coming out from this, which are your uniqueness, and I don't want to reduce you to 3 things. It's just because it's easier to talk about 3 things than all of them, is so much bigger than what you guys said. So like the heady answer that you gave me when I asked you, what are your qualities or your uniqueness? I think, so Pablo, you said citizen of the world, I adapt, I'm funny, I'm creative, I'm likable, right? And now we have sensible, courageous, and authentic. That's like a whole other level of understanding who you are, right? And then for you, Diane, you had tenacity, creative, and odd. And now we have unpredictable, which is so desirable when you're acting. We don't want to know what you're going to do. You have unpredictable, authentic, and integrity. I mean, it's like black and white. It's like pears and apples. It's absolutely not the same world. Your uniqueness is what you have under your resistance. This is what you can bring to the table if you can connect deeply with who you are and you stop like moving away the things that you think are not good enough, wrong. You can actually be those things. So you can be them in your headshots. You can be them when you receive the sides or when you paint or because a lot of different types of artists take this type of work, and this journey is to really be with who you are. And those sides, the song, the painting, the text that you're writing can come from that place. From being, knowing and owning and being responsible for those essences. That's who you are. That's what you have to offer. And being okay with all the resistant part of you, just being with it. All of that then becomes accessible. Does that make sense? All right. So let's quickly look for those of you, if this resonates. And I know you have to leave, and so you'll see the rest of it in the replay, Pablo. It was very nice to work with you, and get in touch with me if you have any questions. I'll share the full program. So this work that you guys are experimenting, which is getting to the core of who you actually are, working through the resistance and getting to the core. And we haven't touched, oh, is that?
That's me. Let me go.
I'm muting you. No, I'm not muting you. I can't mute you. You're good. Okay, so this work.
So sorry.
That's okay. Of getting to the core is the type of work I do. Now, we just touched on some of my favorite tools for an hour, and we're going to get to the instinct in a minute when we talk about the full program. But these little things that you felt for an hour is what we work on for the 33-day journey from resistance to freedom. So that's the promise of this program. Oh, wow. Let me mute you, Diane, because that's not going to be working if it rings again. All right, let me share the screen again, and I'll unmute you. No, this is not what we're sharing. Let me do this. Okay. So I'm sorry, I'm still having technical stuff. Let me There we go. So you guys can see me. Okay, now you can see me. All right, so the journey from resistance to freedom is a program that takes you from that resistance and brings you on the other side in 1 month. Okay, so it's not another method or a technique. It's just like if this, I have these, look at my super props. If this is who you are, right? It's like a diamond and it's covered with stuff. That's how I see you guys. And so we looked at one exercise, and what the journey is that, like, for the resistance, there's about 20 exercises that we do. For the freedom, there's about 30 exercises. So when you want to get to the diamond, you don't just hit on one side. You have to hit on all the different angles to get rid of all the rough parts to finally get to the diamond. Okay, so that's what we do in the journey. We start working through your resistance. Every day we connect like this online, and I see all of you, which is not the case now. I only see the ones that came up, but I see all of the participants. And every single day during 1 hour, we do half an hour of this. And every time we take a different angle at it, so we finally get to the core. And then we do half an hour of instinct work, which is what you will see in a minute. And the reason why we do that in 33 days is that this wiring that you had, if we get a little scientific, the neural pathways that have been dug in your brain are the things that are making you react to the events. So stress comes, casting room, and I shrink. That's the reaction we've had until now, right? And now we've had this talk for an hour and you were like, oh, wow, yeah, that's great. You're, let's say, inspired. You go back to the casting, stress arrives, your neural pathways are not new. There's still the old wiring. You cannot react a different way. In order for you to transform, and that's why this is not a method, it's not information, it's not something I'm going to teach you. In order for you to transform and be your full, complete self, we rewire the neural pathways to be what you actually are. So that when stress comes, you can just be with it and completely feel the power that you have that's available to you, and move with that and create with that without like being busy, like, oh no, I'm feeling this, I'm wrong, I'm too small, I should do that, or maybe she'll like this. This is not the job. For you to be fully present, you need to work through resistance to a point that it's rewired. And science shows that in 20 days, you can rewire your brain. So there's a little more that we're doing in this program, which takes us 33 days. Another reason why I developed this program, because I was doing a lot of one-on-one coaching, is that I realized that the artists that I'm working with, that I was working with, would usually, when you work on stuff that's uncomfortable, like resistance, well, then, you know, we usually can find excuses to not continue. Like, oh, I so don't want to feel that thing again. I'm just not going to go this time. And so by building this program, I provided a structure, some support, and some accountability that once you go in, a month later, you come out a different way, because you don't stop on the way. You don't escape. You don't quit. You're in and you go. And that's really the reason for it being 33 days. And the other thing that I wanted to say is, you might think at the beginning, wow, this is long. 33 days is a long time. And then you'll get to the testimonials here, and you'll listen to the participants. When they get to the end of the journey, they're like, oh no, already? Why is this over? I want more. So it's really, once you start actually being yourself and tuning with the ginormous, ridiculous power that you actually have, that you've never tapped into, it's addictive. It's effortless. It's not hard work. It's great work. And that in art is key. So I'll give you access to the testimonials. Yolanda will, maybe Yolanda, can you please put the link in the chat so anyone can be on the site if they want to look at it. You can look at all the videos and the interviews. So the way we work at it again is really, as I said, like we spend half of the time on your resistance, and it's not me chatting. It's really you every single day working. Everyone's working every day. Half an hour resistance, half an hour freedom and instinct. So once you've managed to work through your resistance, parallel to that is that jewel. Where's the jewel? Oh, I lost it. You know what it is? It's a dinosaur bone, by the way. So once you've worked through the rough parts, there's really a jewel inside, but that hasn't been used. So your core might have been shut down from the first moment on, but it's still there. It's completely bulletproof. It's intact, but it's been unused. So it's like a little blobby. So once we can contact it and connect with it, then we can start igniting it, waking it up, shaking it up, muscling it, so you can start actually relying on that instinct. And the power that's available there is really ridiculous. Okay, so when does this happen? We start the journey on September 24th till October 26th. You can see the details here in this part of the page that Yolanda is sending you. What's important for you to know is that it's online, and what's great about that is that when you can't show up because there's an audition, because there's work, because there's life happening, you get the recording every day in your inbox and you still do the exercises. So in a way, there's no way to escape. You're working every day, because every time you would kind of quit and take a breath, you know what would happen? Your resistance would peak even higher and you'd have to start from scratch. So this is like something you get into and you really get out on the other side completely transformed. So the other thing is it's extremely convenient. Like participants do it on their phone, in their car, in the subway, wherever you are, you can actually be in the session with us, which is really amazing. It avoids the driving, the parking, the traffic excuses, all of that. All right, now the most important part is that I can guarantee this. And the reason I can guarantee this is because, again, I'm not going to teach you anything. All I'm going to do is do this with you so that we get to the gold and the diamond that's inside. And that has never failed. So the investment, people call it the missing piece, because it really feels like no matter how much training, you can't access yourself. And this is the way to access yourself, is to work through your resistance. So there's two options. You have one payment, $590, or you can have a very flexible plan and you practically don't feel it. And you make 7 payments of less than $100. So what this gives you access to is the 33 days live with me where we coach. It gives you also 4 Q&As during that period live. So that's like having 37 hours. So this program is, I think I counted, I think it's $13 an hour. So it's not much. You have lifetime access to this. You're part of a Facebook group that supports, like the participants are very supportive of each other. And it really might seem like a detail in the beginning, but it really, really provides some consistency, some inspiration, and in the most difficult moments, working through those moments and sticking with it and doing the work and getting on the other side. It's really, that's extraordinary too. I think that is what you get. And again, the most important part, in my opinion, is that this is guaranteed, it's risk-free, in the way that I've been doing this program for 2 or 3 years now. It has never, ever failed. No one has ever asked for their money back. And that's why I can guarantee it. It's not about you are going to like this or not. You're going to touch yourself. You're going to be with yourself in a way that you've never, ever experimented before. And that is huge. But I want you guys, this is internet, and I want you guys to be able to jump in this without thinking it's a big risk. What if it doesn't work? If it doesn't work for you and you do the work, you get your money back. So what else do I have to tell you? That's all I have to tell you. Okay, let's go back to instinct. Okay, let me put the gallery view again, and then we'll have Q&As, and if you have any questions about any of this, we can get into that. Okay, all right, so Diane, I'm gonna open your mic again. How are you feeling about your instinct?
I'm kind of impulsive sometimes.
As we've heard, you're unpredictable.
And sometimes it works out very well for me, and sometimes not, you know.
Okay.
But I'm talking about in real life and also in auditions.
Okay.
Also,
So sometimes you can rely on it, sometimes not.
right, correct.
Okay. Okay. So if I told you now, okay, well, let's do some exercise on instinct. And the first one we're going to do, and the only one we're going to do today, is I'm going to ask you to make sounds and movements to present who you are. How does that feel?
Oh dear.
Yeah. Okay. Oh dear.
Okay. You want me to do it now?
Yeah. So you can, if you can move your screen and stand up, and you're going to do some sounds and some movements, not to explain, right? But just some sound and movements from your instinct, presenting who you are.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. Yolanda's going to go with you.
All right, let me find.
Thanks,
All
Yolanda.
right, let me get here. Okay.
And if you can lower it a little bit, then I'll see more of your instrument. No, that's fine. The sound is fine. But if you can lower the camera a little bit. Yolanda, you're fine. I can totally see you. And you don't wear the earplugs, because if you do, then you won't be able to move freely.
All right, let me turn the sound. I'm going to turn the sound up a little bit.
Okay.
Okay.
You good?
Yep.
All right. Okay. So instinct, sound
Okay,
and
I
movement.
can't see myself. Can you see me?
I can see you. It's perfect. All right. And then from that impulse that you just had, that little 10-second moment, can you tell me on 0 to 100, how instinctive did you feel? How much did you tap into your instinct?
About a 75.
Okay. All right. Let's go back, and I'm going to give you some coaching.
Okay.
Make sure that anything that has a shape, as soon as you catch yourself doing that, you know you're in your head. This is my head deciding I'm going to do this, right? This is not my instinct. Like if you look at Yolanda for the moment, it starts being more like an animal or a baby. There's no real shape to it. So that's the first thing, okay? And then once...
Okay, so you're saying it should not have a shape, or it should. I got lost.
No, it shouldn't. If you catch yourself doing something like this, for example, this is me deciding I'm going to move my hands like this. This is not my instinct. This is my head, right? Look. Like if I do, this is totally from my head. And we're not wanting to use the head. We're wanting to use the instinct. So it's in your guts. So you're going to start with jumping. And just open your voice and let any sound that's there come out. And let any impulse that you're feeling, whether it's I hate this or I'm already tired, I didn't even start, whatever it is that you feel, just let it come. Okay? Can you see me or not, Diane?
No, I'm trying to log back in. I lost something. I'm trying to log back in and see if I can.
Okay. Yolanda, you're hot, right? Are you in Sevilla? or Madrid?
Cadiz, actually.
You're in Paris?
Cadiz.
And Cadiz. Oh my God, you must be so hot. Can you see me now, Diane?
No, I don't know what's going on.
Okay, let's continue. You don't need to see me. Let's just listen to what I'm saying. So anytime a movement feels like it's decided by your head because it has a shape, like a dancing move, then that's not your instinct. Okay? So try to really be in a place where you don't know what's going to come. And your access to that might be to start jumping. Just start jumping, and then any movement that comes to you, really pay attention to it. Be curious and stay with it. And same for the sound. Okay? All right, let's do that.
All right. Okay, can you see me?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah, I see you. I see you. Go back a little bit. Perfect. All right, let's start jumping and just open up your voice. And any sound that's there, let it out. Yeah, that's it.
I have to pee.
Ah!
Okay.
Okay. Good. So how did this feel?
A lot freer, a lot more free.
Okay. And it's the same thing. It was just a couple seconds, right?
Yeah.
So there is something there in your instinct because of the wiring that's been on top of it that we haven't accessed. And once you start being with your instinct this way every day, and then again, that's one exercise out of the 30 that we do in the program, you start, oh, I'm here. You start having access to something, and even a sensation, a type of freedom and energy that you can't even wrap your head around. It's so much bigger than what you know you could do. It's ridiculous. Like when participants start to feel it, that's the type of things they'll say. They'll tear up and they'll say, I've never felt this way before. This is saving my life. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like as if there was oxygen or gold or I don't know, this like, yeah, gold inside of your instrument that you have never tapped into. And so in the meantime, you've been running marathons to feel tiny little versions of that. And it's been hard work. And that's why it's there, it's not there. You can't rely on it because there's no access to it. But once you start doing this every day, suddenly you wake up that dormant engine that's actually really there to be there for you. You're supposed to be able to rely on that, especially as an artist. So yeah, let's now, thank you, Yolanda, for jumping with us. Let's now, and again, we've done like a tiny little bit of this, Diane, right? So let's switch to the questions and answers. What are you left with, Diane, with the 3 exercises that we've done? We worked on, you know, being with your resistance and seeing how that affected your presence. And we've looked at, oh, well, if there's that presence, what's underneath all that resistance is your essences that are actually there and available for you. And then we started looking at instinct in a very, very short way and feeling the difference between, you know, actually being instinctive or starting to be and being more in the head. So what's this 1.5-hour journey doing for you? If you could share that with us.
Sure. There's several things that I'm thinking about that I'm sure that this program, well, I'm sure probably would help with some other performance things too, like auditioning for singing auditions. want to get in there and choke up and not do the best that I can do that. And instrument playing in front of people, I have to get myself all whipped up, in a state before I can get up in front of people and play my instrument, my guitar or my violin, and sing it. And it's not really the people I'm playing in front of are friends and people who are just in a jam in my community, bluegrass jam. Everybody brings instruments and plays, and nobody cares.
You know them.
It's not like it's that kind of thing. So it's not them that are judging. It's me. It's me that's.
Of course.
So that I would love to be able to break through that and be able to go and play my instrument that I practice so hard on at home in front of other people. And you're making me cry. But and I'm seeing the possibility
it's
now.
moving you. Yeah, it's moving you, Diane, because and we have a little bit of a connection problem. So maybe, I know we didn't have a connection problem when you were in the sofa, so maybe you need to tilt the computer because it keeps chopping a little bit.
Okay.
You're being, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You're being moved because you know that this is already inside of you. You know that. I'm not telling you anything new. You've just been reminded of the greatness that you have inside. And now you're not hearing me anymore, right?
I'm
There
here.
you go.
I can now.
Can you hear me now? Yeah.
I can.
You're moved because you've been reminded that yes, this is possible because it is already inside of you. You just need to reestablish the access to it. And no matter how old we are, we've spent so many hundreds of months not being ourselves. 1 month to reestablish that connection is nothing. It's a pebble. If you can then have access to that real, full, whole, complete version of you, it's extraordinary because yes, then you will be able to enjoy playing your instrument. And I mean, it's not even enjoy. If you look at some of the interviews on the page, or are you a part of the Facebook group that I have that's called Don't Act, Just Be? Yeah.
Yes.
You'll see some Facebook Lives there with participants. I think the last time we did one with Anne, not the last one, but one before. There's just like this ridiculous thing that's so amazing that we're not in touch with. And I can promise you, you don't even know how this thing feels until you suddenly are with it. It is like balance on a bike. You don't know what balance would feel like when you're riding a bike and then suddenly you experience it, you discover it, and then you have that balance. But no one can explain it to you. No one can make you feel it. No one can give you access to it until you try it, you experiment it, you go through it, and then finally you discover balance yourself and you can start going around the block and exploring the world with your bike. It's the same kind of thing. It's something that is in you that you had when you were little. It's literally being taken away, not because they're evil, just because we're in this world. And it's still there and it's accessible. If you would pay attention to it, you would find it. And it's priceless.
This goes along with my spiritual beliefs too, and I believe that we came here with gifts that we are supposed to use, or else why would we have them? That's what your life, to me, that's what your life is about, is using all these things that you came here with. And that's just life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That's why we're here. If not, it is kind of a weird journey, right? We get born into a world we don't understand. By the time we kind of understand what it's about, we start losing the ones we love, and then we die. It's tragic unless you start being in touch with the beauty that you have inside of you, and that's everywhere, the life. And you're dedicating yourself to the arts and to acting and singing, and they're so close to it really is the art of being alive. So there's nothing to learn about that. There's no method to take. You are alive. You're a living being. The connection has been taken away. You just need to reestablish that connection. It's just like a radio. Once you'll find the connection, it'll sing. It'll sing. Like, you can turn up and turn down the volume, and it's absurd. It's like if you've never heard music before, and suddenly, you find it on the radio, and you're like, whoa, your whole body would shake. It's that amazing.
Okay.
Good. So any more questions? Do you have any questions about the program? If you're good with what we did and there's nothing that's unclear for you, do you have questions about the program or doubts or concerns? Anything?
I can't think of anything right now. I'm going to figure out a way that I can do this. I've got to think of some things that I can do this. So, but I'm just excited about, because I really think this is really going to open up a lot of areas that I've been struggling with. And
yeah, you're saying the right thing, because obviously as actors, you want to make sure that you can have access to the life that's running through your veins, because that's your responsibility as an actress, to bring all that life to a character. And if you don't have access to it, what are you going to bring? You're going to bring, ideas or, again, ways of pleasing. But beyond really reestablishing and resetting your instrument as an actor or as an artist, this will impact everything you do. And that's what participants say too. And again, it's not pretentious of me, because again, you'll see, I'm not going to teach you anything. I'm just going to remind you what you already know. And I have the tools and the exercises that will make you do the work to get there. I'm not going to do anything. It's kind of a cool job for me. But yes, it impacts everything, because it's you that you're working on. And that's, to me, that's always been the most valuable journey or trip to take. Like, if you would think, where do I want to travel in this world? I want to see the whole world. To me, since I was a teenager, I always felt the most important travel that I want to make is the one inside. I want to make sure I can travel in here and be with all of it and discover all of it and have all of it alive inside of me. So anyway, that's my passion. But so I think we're more or less done. If you have any questions, Diane, if you have any doubts, if you're on the fence, if you're feeling that your resistance you want this, but your resistance is preventing you from doing it, get in touch. And the same for you guys, if you're watching this or if you're watching the replay, Yolanda and I are here for you. I don't want to have anyone on the fence. I want people to leave this webinar thinking, yes, I'm doing this. I don't know how I'm going to figure it out. Or yes, I'm doing this and I know how. Or I want you to say, no, this is not for me. But I don't want to leave anyone in the middle thinking, yes, but. Because then there's value here for you and you're not giving yourself access to it. And therefore, if you're stuck in that position, I really want to be there and coach you through that and help you find the ways, etc., etc. So our contact details are there. Let me look at if there's any questions in the chat. No, Yolanda says no, so I don't even need to go through it. Perfect. Thank you, Yolanda. All good. We'll send you an email with the replay and the page so you can look at all the details. And then I really hope to see you again soon, Diane. And
I expect you will.
Yeah. And anyone who is willing to dive, we're ready. And anyone who's on the fence, let's talk. Okay?
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Diane. Thank you for being so, yeah, thank you for playing the game and being brave and jumping in. It's great. That's great.
All right.
And brave.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you, Yolanda, for assisting.
welcome.
Sorry I was hiding you.
It's okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. Bye-bye.